All right, guys. Very good evening to you all on behalf of the team from Ceylon, and welcome to the Sri Lanka community-led event for the Cardano Summit 2023. I'd like to start off by introducing our team, starting off with myself. I am Sanjay Vanigasekara, the community manager for Ceylon. With us, we have our CEO, Kavinda Karya Peruma, along with Rashant Fernando, who is our chief operations officer. Malik Fauz, our Chief Technical Officer, and Ishru Mahanama, our Chief Financial Officer. So you guys might be wondering what this entire community call is about, even though it says Cardano Forum 2023. So basically what we want to do this time around is basically give you guys a rundown on what our experience was attending the Cardano Summit in Dubai, which we were quite fortunate to be able to do, and also give you a brief rundown on what we've been doing with Ceylon, what we've been doing so far, and what we have planned for the next year, 2024. But before we get into that, I'd like to give you guys a brief introduction as to what Cardano is. I mean, most of you guys might already know what Cardano is, but I just want to give a brief introduction to the newcomers to the space. So if we actually look at the slides, Cardano was basically founded by Charles Hoskinson and his company, IOHK, in 2015, with a focus on addressing the limitations and challenges faced by existing blockchain platforms. Now, Cardano is a blockchain platform that aims to provide a secure, scalable, and sustainable infrastructure for development of decentralized applications and the execution of smart contracts. It's a third generation platform that focuses to deliver a, let's say, robust and highly functional blockchain ecosystem. So moving on, one of the key features that sets Cardano apart is its commitment to scientific approach and peer-reviewed research. Cardano operates through two layers, which is the settlement layer and the computation layer. Now, the settlement layer is responsible for handling transactions and transfer of ADA tokens. So ADA is actually the native token for Cardano, while the computational layer enables the execution of smart contracts and the deployment of decentralized applications, also known as dApps. So if you actually think about it, for those of you who don't know, the development of Cardano follows a structured roadmap with multiple phases. The first phase, Byron, focused on establishing the foundation of the networks, providing basic functionality. Subsequent to those phases, we have Shelley and Gorgon, introducing decentralized staking and smart contracts with capabilities respectively. The ongoing development aims to deliver additional enhancements, including the Voltaire phase. All right, so the Gorgon upgrade is where we are at the moment, so which actually passed. So the Gorgon upgrade was completed with the Alonzo hard fork. The Alonzo hard fork was one of the major milestones for Cardano, and it has since seen significant increase in activity and adoption. The Gorgon upgrade is the third major development stage of the Cardano blockchain, following Byron and Shelley. Fun fact, Gorgon is named after an American computer scientist who's well known for theory in programming languages, in case you guys didn't know about it. So in terms of the contribution that Gorgon had to Cardano's ecosystem, it actually introduced a few features, including smart contracts, native tokens, multi-currency ledgers, and so forth. And those features actually benefited Cardano in the sense of increased functionality, improved scalability, security, and increased adoption. And right now, if we actually talk about the fourth stage, which is the Basho upgrade, the Basho upgrade is the fourth development stage of the Cardano blockchain. The Basha upgrade also basically introduced a few features such as side chains, Hydra, which is a layer 2 scaling solution, pipelining, and off-chain computation. The Basha upgrade is meant to make Cardano more scalable and interoperable. It's also expected to make Cardano more attractive for businesses and organizations that need a higher performance blockchain for their applications. So that's what's there for the fourth stage. And now we're actually entering the Voltaire stage, which is focused on governance. And the CEO, Frederick Gregard, did a brilliant session on this. So let's actually dive into that. And this is part of what we saw at the Cardano Summit in Dubai.
Good morning, everybody. Let's try that one more time. Good morning, Dubai. I'm going to try something a little bit refreshing and new for me, because I have a few points which I really think has to come across in the right way. So bear with me as I'm reading a little bit, as I actually try to prepare, because I think we're standing at a catalysm, we're standing at a moment we will remember going forward. We're living in an era where clarity stands as a bastion of power amidst the torrent of information. We are called upon to discern what truly matters. Echoing the profound insight of Mark Carney, the former governor of the Bank of England and Canada, it is essential to recognize the value of money requires not just the belief of the public at any point in time, but critically the consent of the public at all times. When it comes to money, the consent and trust of the public must be nurtured and continually maintained. We are on the brink of Voltaire, the governance era of Cardano. What's so important in what Mark Carney says is this consent. Any social system who has participatory governance, they need the consent at any given time. We are introducing a new concept called delegated representatives. They're going to work as a type of politicians for the people who don't have the time constantly being in blockchain, Bitcoin, ADA, and so forth. They're going to represent some of us out there, and that consent needs to constantly be maintained and nurtured. As we navigate through the complexities of this digital age, we understand that the fabric of society is interwoven with the critical infrastructure that we rely on every single day. As you saw with Dr. Marwan, Dubai has made extreme progress in terms of digitalizing that infrastructure. And it's incredibly impressive how resilient that is becoming. When we touch this fabric of the infrastructure, but also of these social systems, particularly in this realm, we realize that the operational resilience is not just a feature, but one of the main drivers of sustainable progress. When we look at Cardano, we see that Cardano has been changing. For those of you who were in Lausanne last year, or those of you who were in Wyoming 2 years ago, and so forth, Cardano is a complete, dramatically different infrastructure. It enables new things, which has not been done on a blockchain before. But in the base layer is the stake pool operators. The stake pool operators and the design of the architecture, the code, who allows us as a community to keep changing this infrastructure as we live on the infrastructure. That's like equivalent of taking the engine out of the plane while we are flying it. And Cardano right now has an uptime of over 2,000 days while we've been changing the engines and the wings and the wheels while we are flying the airplane. We no longer only have 1,000 companies of what we know of building on Cardano, we have in the thousands. We no longer have dApps and developers and DEXs and NFTs. We now also have critical infrastructure. We have nation states who's deploying on Cardano, and they have complete different ideas about operation resilience. They have a need on how to bridge that gap, which we've not been able to address before. but we now have these data points. We have this operational resilience, and it's something which we could not have done without you. So give yourself a really big applause, and thank you to the stake pool operators. It is here, within this context, that Cardano has emerged not only as a beacon of innovation, but also as a paragon of stability. As we have been developing and deploying code, Cardano has maintained this extraordinary uptime. And this is not just a technical achievement, it is a testament to the reliability and the trustworthiness that is paramount when we speak about critical infrastructure. And therefore, I think this parameter committee, which has been established across 5 different vectors, is of the utmost importance. And I'm really grateful that they're taking the time to dig into these complex features, which is running Cardano and deciding where Cardano is going in the future. Cardano is truly designed as a public infrastructure. It's not designed as a private infrastructure. It's not designed for the few. It's designed for the masses. Now, for the 21st century, with the emergence of exponential technologies, of AI, of synthetic biology, I think the cry out for having verifiable credentials, having verifiable proofs, having a verifiable infrastructure who can help safeguard some of those things is exactly where we see Cardano is going. And that is why regulators and policymakers around the world not only feel comfortable about Cardano, but they're engaging with us because they want to widen the scope of how we use Cardano. This is a business opportunity for most people in this room who before only has been in the digital realm. We are now moving much further across industries. It is an infrastructure which is built with the foresight that trust in our systems must be absolute, especially when these systems facilitate governance, commerce, and education and global trade. The ethos of Cardano is one where participatory governance and social systems are enhanced, not compromised by technology. We are fostering an environment where operational resilience goes hand in hand with inclusivity, and where the seamless integration of digital currencies catalyzes a more equitable economy. Bear no fruit. We need digital currencies to ensure that we can have anonymity, privacy on Cardano, and ensure that everybody, even the one who doesn't have a national identity, that they can operate, deploy, and harvest the value of Cardano. As we stand at the vanguard of this new age, we are reminded that our financial systems are not merely transactional networks, but the bedrock of trust upon which our social contracts are built. The integration of digital currencies into our lives is not a distant reality. It is an unfolding present that demands our thoughtful engagement. In conclusion, let us move forward with the conviction that our initiatives today, literally today and tomorrow, among 1,500 people who understand blockchain, who deploy on blockchain, who understands the difference between second generation and third generation blockchain. This is what's going to resonate the pages of history. Cardano's unwavering uptime is a clarion call to all industries and social systems to join us in this journey, to partake in a future that is not only resilient, but also equitable and transparent. This is an opportunity where for the first time we see that these new technologies are merging with the technology of blockchain, which opens up all industries for the power of blockchain. Thank you very much for coming to the opening, for coming to these 2 days. Thank you for building and believing in Cardano. Thank you.
All right, guys, I hope that was insightful as a description onto the Voltaire stage. But now, without further ado, I'd like to pass the stage on to our CEO, Kavinder, to share his thoughts and our experiences at the event. So, Kavinder, off to you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Good evening, everyone, and good afternoon and good morning to all of you who are joining from rest of the world too. I'm sure a lot of us are from different time zones joining in. I myself is currently in Tokyo this week, and we have some of our team members scattered across the world, but majority of them are from Sri Lanka. So hello, Sri Lanka. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Kavinder, and we are team Ceylon. I know our community manager, Sanjay, did a pretty in-depth introduction into Cardano. And for those of you are newcomers, I'm pretty sure that kind of got an idea. You got an idea about what Cardano is and what Cardano has been doing in terms of technology. I know he had a lot more slides up there somewhere, but well, when it comes to technology, sometimes there are glitches. But I'm pretty sure he still explained everything without the slides, which is pretty impressive too. But this at the same time, although we come up here and we tell you all of these things that what we believe in and what we've understood and what we've learned over the period of years, there's always a lot to learn. And I would always encourage everybody to go and do some more reading into it and understand this wonderful ecosystem, because there's a lot to learn and there's a lot more that you can build with. So now to tell you a little bit more about our experience at the Cardano Summit in 2023, which just concluded on the 4th of November, held in Dubai. We at Ceylon were the sole representation from Sri Lanka at the event this year, and we had a really great experience meeting some of the great minds behind Cardano and some of our friends at Cardano who we've been working with for the past 2 years in different capacities. Basically, ever since we launched our first stake pool back in 2021, to launching our very first blockchain community forum in Sri Lanka, to holding the first ever Cardano community meetup back in 2021, and then moving on to the NFT space and building the first multi-purpose NFT collection on Cardano based off of the traditional Sri Lankan yakka masks. I'm pretty sure some of you might have heard of it also, but if you haven't, please go and check it out as well. It's pretty interesting. At the same time, we've come a long way since then. And within this wonderful community, we've made a lot of friends too. And it's really good for us to meet and build really strong partnerships with key entities, bring some really interesting developments to Sri Lanka, to the Sri Lankan blockchain community in the coming weeks and months ahead. We are very excited about that, and we'll speak a little bit more on that as well. Talking a little bit more on our experience at the Cardano Summit, the key areas of focus that this year's summit that I found myself really into, or how we could sum it up, what I felt was it was more focused on innovation, education, and governance. These were the three sectors that I felt the Cardano Summit really made a huge impact on. If I go a little bit more into depth of this year's summit, it actually had a lot of interesting sessions with a vast number of blockchain specialists, educators, curators, enthusiasts, thought leaders who really made this event really vibrant too. And we made a lot of friends too. There were a lot of masterclasses being conducted by key personnel of Cardano, and many networking opportunities for a lot of people. There were masterclasses on stake pools, on how to build dApps, to pretty much everything related to blockchain. There was a lot of things that you could learn as well. When you could connect with like-minded individuals, you could share ideas and get feedback. And also, not forgetting, there was a lot of entertainment as well. I mean, we were in the desert. We had a desert dining experience and a gala event. Special thanks out to the Cardano Foundation in Margot for organizing this. And we had so much fun this time. And you guys have really outdone yourselves with it. I mean, for those of you who saw the pictures and videos, I don't know how many of you saw them. We literally had Cardano on fire this year. Like, I'm not even joking. So you'll see more of that on our recap video later on during this session. For those of you who missed the event, we would like to showcase some of the key points that were discussed during this year's summit. And let's dive a little bit more deeper into it. I think let's get some slides out, and we'll get into it, I think. Oh yeah, there's more slides. So like I mentioned earlier, so this year's summit, what we felt was focused on innovation, governance, and education. Cardano 2023 summit, the World Summit, was very significant because we felt this year it was making several breakthroughs. During the conference, one of the key things that we noticed was Cardano's commitment to innovation, education, and governance, like I said. One of the most significant key milestones were the partner chains that were launched, which we will discuss a little bit more in depth in the next slide. But for the time being, we actually wanted to say it out in a brief that this is going to be a game changer in the blockchain world. We personally believe that. I personally believe it too. And I think that it's going to pave way for a much more interconnected and robust blockchain ecosystems within the Cardano ecosystem through. And also the summit placed a very strong emphasis on education. We understand that the backbone of any thriving blockchain network is its community. And by empowering the community with knowledge about blockchain, that is the only way we can nurture a community that is not only skilled, but also deeply invested in the future of blockchain technology in general. So I personally believe that a lot. And of course, then another highlight of the event of some of you who might have been in Cardano ecosystem for some time might already know about this, but it was it was highlighted quite a lot during this summit was Intersect. We will talk a little bit more in depth about what this is, but we also feel that this initiative is quite a bold step in terms of realizing the vision for collaborative governance. The great thing about this is that it's more than a structure. I feel like it's more like an embodiment of a decentralized and inclusive principle that Cardano stands for. So we'll go into a little bit more in depth with that, but we'll start off with the midnight. So partner chains on Cardano. So I know a lot of you might have read about this within the last week, and a lot of people might not even know what it is. Partner chains are the newest addition to the Cardano ecosystem with the introduction of Midnight. Midnight is actually a significant addition to the Cardano ecosystem. It's not really just a partner chain. It makes a pivotal point in the Cardano's journey so far. What we feel is like Midnight has been in the making for quite a long time, and it has gone through a lot of work. And I think during the speech, even Charles mentioned that it has been in the work for over 5 years, and for it to be designed to be integrated very seamlessly within the Cardano. So think of this more like a puzzle piece that connects and uses the capabilities of Cardano to bring in new users and utilities of various use cases onto the Cardano blockchain ecosystem. So that's the role that Midnight plays within the network. And so another thing we can think of is what unique aspects does Midnight introduce? It's more than just an extension of Cardano, we would say. Partner chains like Midnight will sort of push the limits of what's possible, unlocking new potential and exploring territories that were previously thought only in a concept level. So Aaron Barak, who's heading the Midnight team, during his presentation with Charles Hoskinson at the summit, he made it a point to outline where Cardano isn't just going to be an isolated entity, but it's going to become a central hub in a vast network of partner chains like Midnight. It's not just going to be Midnight, but it's just like Midnight. This vision portrays a future where collaboration and diversity is going to be key, where it's going to be going hand in hand. You can see more of this when you watch the full presentation on this video. If you haven't already watched it, we will be playing it towards the end of this community meetup today. So you can also get more understanding of it. But looking ahead, we feel that Midnight is going to be a really expansive journey, and it will be a start of a new era for the Cardano ecosystem. It's going to be bringing in new users, connecting with other blockchains and capabilities, and enhancing communities through each partner that comes into the ecosystem. So each partner that comes into the ecosystem of Cardano will surely definitely enrich the ecosystem in a much more broader way. So it will bring in new capabilities, perspectives, strengths. So it's going to be a very collective journey going forward. So I think it's something for everybody to be really interested about. So I think everybody should take some time, even if you're not so much a technical person. I think you should definitely get into it and read a little bit more on it and find out a little bit more on Midnight as well. I think the DevNet and the testnets are just opening up. So there'll be some interesting things. You will hear about this in the coming weeks for sure. And I'm personally very excited to see the way that the developer communities will be utilizing this opportunity to build really good things. So moving on, the next thing I would like to talk to you about is Intersect. So Intersect, what does Intersect actually represent? So I know that Frederick Rugrad, CEO of Cardano Foundation, mentioned a little bit more on the governance sector in the speech prior to me coming on the screen to talk to you right now. Intersect actually represents a significant shift on how governance within Cardano ecosystem is looked at and is going to be implemented. So you might be wondering what exactly is Intersect. So think of it, it's like Cardano's approach to a governance structure driven by the community. This means the direction, the development, the decisions within the Cardano ecosystem is going to be increasingly influenced by its user base. It's a platform where users' voice is going to be having a direct impact on the ecosystem's evolution in the coming years. That's true decentralization right there. The impact of Intersect on Cardano's future is something that's worth talking about. We saw this on multiple sessions during the Cardano Summit this year in Dubai as well. It's not just about decision making. It's more about empowering the users to actively participate in the growth and the development of Cardano ecosystem. Imagine a scenario where barriers between users and developers is minimized, which would allow a more collaborative and even in very innovative environment in general. So it's important to reflect on the role of what each individual can play in Intersect. It's a structure that welcomes a wide range of contributions. It's not going to be limited only to technical input. The collective knowledge and the experience of the entire Cardano community is what will drive this initiative forward. So shaping and basically moving everybody together, making everybody collaborative and inclusive for the future of this wonderful ecosystem. So if you want to learn a little bit more about it, you can definitely go and check the Intersect website out at intersectmbo.org. Just use a little bit of time and read about it. If you're interested to learn a little bit more on this, this is the place to go. So please do go check it out as well. The other thing that we were really interested was education. So if you could move on to the next slide. Yeah. So, I mean, education, that is key, right? So especially, I know a lot of you here in Sri Lanka have approached us on constant basis, on individual basis, as businesses, approached us and asked about blockchain in general. What is a blockchain? What can it do? What's a smart contract? What's an NFT? Pretty much a lot of things that there's a massive learning curve. So we get it. And when we go into the crucial aspect that was highlighted at the Cardano Summit was just this, the transformative way of blockchain education. Some of the sessions that were held at the summit actually discussed vital insights on this particular sector. And because at the end of the day, it's the education that fosters innovation. So it actually helps the industry grow in the blockchain sector. So you need the education to be there. So some of the expert panels also emphasized during the summit and the importance of educations with individuals with the blockchain knowledge, the education that goes beyond just technical skills. When you say blockchain education, a lot of people will think, oh, it's just about programming or it's going to be technical. No, it's not. It's about understanding the potential of blockchain in various sectors like government initiatives in UAE currently promoting technology education, to examples like Bolivia, where restrictions on various sectors have sparked curiosity about blockchain. So it's currently happening for various different reasons. The discussion is showcased in diverse global perspectives like this. But in the private sector, the focus is shifting towards adaptation in enterprises, right? So understanding the paradigms of blockchain, connecting the dots, implementing strategies that align with business objectives. How do you solve a problem with blockchain technologies? This approach even resonates with us at Ceylon. So we are really excited. We had some really interesting conversations at the summit as well. So we're looking forward to partnering up with the Cardano Foundation to enrich the blockchain education in Sri Lanka as well. We'll hear a little bit more on it in the coming weeks ahead. And it's going to be similar to what's being already done in places like Africa, but we wanted to do it a little bit more differently and bring something unique to Southeast Asia that has never been done before. So we are working on something like that because we believe the Cardano ecosystem and blockchain education should go hand in hand together. So the conversations during the summit also covered integrating blockchain education into non-technical streams such as finance, business, law, arts, and other sectors, right? This integration is key to comprehending new technologies like blockchain and its vital use of how it can enhance transparency in various sectors. And people need to be aware of this. Cardano Foundation is working very hard on few initiatives on this, which was mentioned during the summit. One of it being the Cardano Academy that will help the public educate themselves on blockchain technologies, understanding it in a deeper level, and also building on it. So we do feel like we are now in a new era of blockchain literacy, which will definitely pave way for groundbreaking developments in the blockchain technology. And in the private sector, with the shift going towards enterprises adopting blockchain technologies for their everyday use, I think it's going to be something really extraordinary in the coming year, especially 2024 is going to have a major impact in blockchain education because there's a lot of people who want to learn more about it. And in Sri Lanka, we are more than happy to help anybody who would want to do that as well. And Cardano is doing that, not only educating about Cardano, but they are also educating about the blockchain technologies in general, because you have to understand the technology in general in order for you to build on it. So I think that's the main pointers on that. But at the same time, I know a lot of you might not have seen parts of the Cardano summit that took place this year. And we actually created a recap video where you can see what was done. And most of it was like captured from our phones and stuff like that. And also we compiled some really nice footage together for you to get an idea as to the stuff that went on during the summit. So if you were not part of it, we want you to feel included and inclusive in this community. So let's just have a look at a recap video of the Cardano Summit 2023 and move on from there.
Designed to allow developers to create and deploy decentralized applications. It is a proof-of-stake blockchain, meaning it uses a consensus algorithm to validate transactions without the need for miners. It also features a layered architecture and
everybody. They did turn it on. Woo! Welcome to Dubai! Oh, come on, that's not. Give me a little bit more. Welcome to Dubai!
Kavinder, thank you so much for the in-depth explanation into Midnight and Intersect, as well as touching base on blockchain education as well. And to answer your question, yes, I did have a slight technical difficulty with my slides, but what's a community call without a few hiccups here and there, right? Uh, so like guys, like I'm sure you were paying attention to the recap from the summit. And like Kavinder said, we actually did meet quite a lot of amazing people, and we learned quite a lot on what Cardano is doing in terms of blockchain development. So hopefully, moving forward, we'd love to see more of you guys attending these summits in the future. That being said, we're actually halfway through our community call as well. So I think it would only be appropriate if our Chief Operations Officer, Reshan, puts in a few words. Reshan, off to you.
Hi guys. I mean, I know my part is the saddest part because I have to say and conclude this community call. It's been actually it's been a roller coaster for me because, not like Kavinder and Sanjay, I also was new to the Cardano ecosystem. And for me going to Dubai actually opened my eyes up on how strong the community is and the foundation and how they back up, everything they do. They had a lot of workshops. It was very intuitive, and it reformatted my on the Cardano chain understanding. And not only that, it helped me move, see the future of where this can go. And it was a incredible opportunity. It was 3 days. It was beautifully planned. The foundation and everyone involved in it did an amazing job. It was very actually, even the workshops were built so where you can learn. Even if you don't know, you can go and learn, and they teach you step by step on everything how they do. So I mean, it was and hopefully next time a lot more people can go, because it was very, very interesting. Not only that, it was, where all around the world, where everyone gets together and, you meet different people. We met people from all over the world. Some people even live in, other parts of the country. Some people, just want to just come to meet the people behind Cardano. So it was a very important, I mean, I can't reiterate how important it was me to be there. And thanks to our CEO who pushed me to make sure that I was there. Was actually, I learned a lot. And I hope you guys watched the video. And just a brief understanding of, the importance of, the knowledge and everything they gave us. So I just want to say, there are a lot of people in Sri Lanka who don't know what Cardano is, who want to learn more, who want to join us. And you can always reach us on Twitter. Basically, email us any details. Just reach out to us, even on LinkedIn. We're waiting to help, because we want to make Sri Lanka a part of this chain. So I just want to say once again, thank you everyone for joining us. I know it's Saturday. I know a lot of people are on rest, but I just want to say thank you for joining us. And this is one of many. You got to excuse our technical difficulties. We are just getting into this whole presentation and our summit locally. So please bear with us. And once again, thank you for joining us. And Sanjay?
All right, thank you, Reshan.
Thank you, Reshan. So guys, I think we are almost at the end of our community call, but before we actually conclude, we have one more video to play, and that's the keynote speech which Charles Hoskinson made towards the closing ceremony. So we'd like to play that now so you guys can get an understanding of what he had to say.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. They did turn it on. Woo! Welcome to Dubai. Oh, come on, that's not passionate. Give me a little bit more. Welcome to Dubai. That's better. It is the crossroads of the world. It's a really amazing place. I collect stuff from Babylon and Sumeria. And everything that's old is new again. It's all moving back here. You know, we have such an amazing group of people from all over the world, from Japan, from South Korea, from Brazil, from Argentina, from America, Canada, all places of Europe. You're all here. Not too long ago, Cardano was very small, but we had a great vision. We had kind of three principles here. So we're just going to have a whiteboard again. How about that? You guys like whiteboards? So we had this idea of a third generation cryptocurrency. And there was this concept of scale, scalability. We cared a lot about it. Second, we had this concept of governance or sustainability, on-chain governance. And the third idea was interoperability. So if you think about what we've achieved over the last 7 years, 193 papers, millions of lines of code, massive international movement, so many people building, so many people excited to participate, all these billions of transactions, millions of currencies, NFTs and other things issued on chain, hundreds of dApps, many of which you get to see right over there. It's pretty remarkable. And we're just getting started. When you look at scale, we have all these cool things that are either being incubated or already reached mainnet. So there's people from the Hydra project here. And Hydra is coming along. It's an amazing piece of technology to be a middleware in every single dApp that matters, to allow us to scale. We have amazing things like BLS support that's coming in with Plutus 3. 15 plus crypto primitives are being added. That gives you the ability to add rollups, all kinds of cool zero-knowledge structures, things like that. A lot of you know and love input endorsers. Huge amount of research is being done with input endorsers. In 2021, we did a lot of benchmarking. We said, this is the thing to bet on. The next 5, 10 years, that's what's going to get us where we need to go. So Ouroboros Laos is there. We've thought a lot about how to add features like fast finality. Yeah, turns out that people like that. It's a pretty good idea. Okay, so we have a little something called Ouroboros Paris. Wonderful team of people working on that. And when you look at this whole thing, you say to yourself, over the coming months and years, we're going to be all right. We're going to be okay. Ouroboros, at the end of the day, was so far ahead of its time that people are just now starting to realize the magic and power of it. Liquid non-custodial staking, no slashing, no bonding. And it was built in a way, it was built to be upgraded. Things were built to be added to it. So I'm pretty confident we're going to achieve scale, and I'm pretty confident that we're going to do that together. Now, it takes time. Didn't think Genesis would take this long, didn't think it'd take this long to change out the VRF. Turns out I'm not as good at estimates, software estimates, as I thought I was. That's okay. But you know, we did it together, we learned together, and that part of the third generation is okay. This year, huge amount has been done with SIP 1694. And we said there are 3 pillars to this concept. You had one pillar, and that was the idea of a tripartite governance model. So we have this concept of DREPs, a constitutional committee, and stake pool operators, and 7 different governance actions, everything from spending the funds of a treasury, the Cardano treasury, which is quite large, to upgrading the protocol, hard fork combinator. And you know what? Over 50 workshops have been held all around the world, more than 20 countries, where you guys came together and had a large amount of say over how that ought to look for a concept of minimum viable governance. This idea of good enough to get started, but certainly not good enough as the final say in the matter. On-chain governance, it's hard. It's really interesting. But what's so beautiful about it is it's not a concept anymore. It's a reality through SanchoNet. People are playing with it. They're experimenting with it, just like they did with the Plutus Pioneer program, just like they did with the stake pool Pioneer programs, the incentivized testnet, these types of things. It'll get done in one way or another. Might not look exactly the way that everybody thought. Might look that way. The point is that just like scalability, it's no longer a question of can we do this. We'll figure out a way to get good on-chain governance. B was institutions. Turns out that the things around cryptocurrencies are incredibly hard. There's a lot of moving pieces to them. You got budgets, product backlogs, you got dozens of things that people have to think about every single day that are nuanced and delicate and require subject matter expertise. They require people to deeply understand not only the technology, but things like the economics behind the technology, the design decisions behind the technology. We should never, for a moment, think you can elect your way to subject matter expertise. You hire that, you institutionalize that, and they work together as partners. So Intersect was set up. You see the big booth for it outside. Again, last year when I spoke, I said, in Switzerland, we ought to do something like this. Now it's incorporated. There's a booth. You know it's real because they got swag. It's pretty cool, actually, and hundreds of people from all around the community are coming together, and we now have working groups, steering committees, all kinds of things that are forming, and they're talking a lot about the roadmap of Cardano. So things like the budget. What ought we spend money on to be approved by the government of Cardano? You know, things like the roadmap. What ought to be a priority? You want to speed this up a little bit, or are you comfortable with the current rate of progress? If you want to speed it up, are you okay with spending another $10 million? Maybe 5, 2.5, split the difference. Y'all want Circle support? Maybe we pay them. You know, there's lots of stuff there. A lot of moving pieces there. It's complicated stuff. Institutions allow you to have those complicated conversations and eventually get to a point where you think there's something that's pretty good, and then you have democratic consent. You have a governing system on chain that allows you to do that. Are we done? No. You need something else. There's this problem with self-amendment. Anybody ever play Monopoly? All right, show of hands. Monopoly. Yeah, everybody. House rule a lot of people make is that when you land on Go, you get twice as much money, $400 instead of $200. Okay, seems pretty innocent. You change the rule of the system. Turns out Peter Suber thought about this a lot. He wrote a lovely book in the late 80s, early 90s called The Paradox of Self-Amendment. It turns out that when you have a game or a system, a governing system, and you give people the power to change that system from within the system, while you can do amazing things, you can do some pretty crazy stuff too. Like what if you pass a law in your Monopoly game that every time Bob lands on Boardwalk, he gets $1 million? Great for Bob, bad for you. So you need something in the rule changing system. We call these typically constitutions. They can have other terms, but basically guardrails that prevent you from using the governance system to blow up the system quickly. No self-amending system can save itself forever, but at least you can slow down the madness a little bit. When you put these three things together, you have what we call minimum viable governance. There are hundreds of people all around the world, more than 30 countries, working diligently from many different organizations, overrepresented in the community, to realize these types of things. And there's a lot of great and beautiful ideas. And 2024 is all about turning those things on and getting us to a point where governance works well on Cardano. Great. You notice something though, and this is really the core of what I'm talking about today, is this idea of interoperability. This is something we don't talk too much about. And we ought to, because interoperability is the difference between living on an island and living in a world. Interoperability is the difference between your phone connecting or not connecting. Interoperability is the difference between your software working and your software not working. We live in a global society. Billions of consumers, trillions of lines of code, billions of consumer devices, and all kinds of philosophies and paradigms. When things are interoperable, everything just kind of works seamlessly. It talks to each other, stuff connects together. We just get used to it as consumers. We love it. It's magic. It's special. The problem that we have in the cryptocurrency industry is that tokenomics incentivize a lack of interoperability because it's a sum-zero game. The way that tokenomics work is that If Ethereum goes up or Solana goes up, well, maybe that means Cardano goes down or vice versa. We're trained by CoinMarketCap to look at these things as competitors, not as potential partners for us to work with to co-equal have customers together. And it's kind of funny because the entire point of this space is decentralization. The entire point of this space is supposed to be to push power to the edges for everyone everywhere, not pick an arbitrary thing and only that thing is okay and everything else is evil, and if you believe otherwise, you are also evil and should be destroyed. Call that maximalism. Team Orange has really mastered that, and their high cleric Max Kaiser loves saying these things. But we're better than that. Third generation is not just about bringing amazing science together and amazing ideas together with the community. It's not just about innovating governance and bringing 200 years of political science and good thought and open source governance together. It's about coming up with a new way to present interoperability. So if you read Why Cardano back in the day, I wrote it in 2016. I write things every now and then, it's not just AMAs. I had this idea of CSL and CCL. And the concept of this was kind of like, okay, we have this main chain, and then we have all these side chains, these other things that are floating around. And these CCLs, these control layers or computation layers, basically what they're going to do is they're going to have different philosophies about how things ought to run. Because it turns out that if you're running a decentralized telecommunications protocol, or a decentralized large language model, or AI stack, or a supply chain stack, or an IoT stack, or a privacy layer, whatever it might be, that all the design decisions that we made down here that make this awesome and preserve and protect that may actually get in the way of the things that you want to do. Also, how do you price things? You think about cloud services. A lot of you are developers in this room. You've probably used Amazon. You've probably used Azure. You've probably used all these wonderful cloud products. How traumatic would it be to your business that you wake up and suddenly your business, your hosting costs are 3 times more expensive, 5 times more expensive, and the next day they're half price? You have no consistency or predictability. Would the world work well? Would you make profits? Could you even look at your investors in the face and say, oh yeah, don't worry about it, here's our financial projection? It's chaos. So the problem is that if you overload your base layer of your system, you're not in essence going to be able to service the needs of a global economy that's diverse, heterogeneous, and complex. We knew this, and because we're Cardano, we knew this before the other people did. We wrote that down in 2016. We said, hey, this is a problem, we need to solve that. So we saved the best for last. We solved governance and scale. We know what to do as a community. We're going to get it done. 1,000 conversations, I'm not worried about it. But now let's solve interoperability, and let's teach the rest of the space how to do that well. So true to form, we had lots of teams of people working diligently every single day to try to explore how to build some notion of a sidechain ecosystem. We started with the OG of sidechains, Blockstream. They wrote this lovely paper in 2014, and Team Orange told all of us, well, in 2 years' time, sidechains is going to kill everybody. So 2016 has already passed, so I guess we're all dead, right? All right. So they introduced the concept of sidechains. You know what we did? We said, wait a minute, they didn't actually tell us how to do it. So we fixed it for them. You're welcome, Adam. We wrote something called Meetup. You guys remember Meetup? Cool little name. Great name for a Tasmanian tiger. Meetup. We learned a lot. We also had all these amazing projects we looked at, like we joined Hyperledger. We looked at Fabric. We created Mamba. You guys remember Mamba back in the day? We had 2 flavors. We had the EVM flavor, and we had this weird flavor called Yella that was written by a strange Romanian man. Okay, what else did we do? We looked at Cosmos. We had a whole team of people doing diligence there, and then we also looked at Parity. Parity in particular was really interesting. There were some good ideas there. And we said, you know, if we take all these guys here, these things, Fabric, Mamba, the EVM stuff, the Yella stuff, if we really squint our eyes and think deeply about it, maybe, just maybe, we start pulling some things together. I remember something Steve Jobs said in the late 90s. It was shortly after he came back to Apple. At the time, Apple was suing Microsoft. It's going at them hard. And Apple was dying. It's about 120 days, maybe if you stretch it out a little bit, about 300 days away from bankruptcy. So he called up Bill Gates and he said, you know, Bill, that whole DOJ thing, you know, if we go out of business, you have like 100% of the market. That would be a kind of a problem for you, right? Bill said, yeah, that'd be a problem. He said, you know, maybe you should buy some Apple stock. I don't know, $300 million worth, you know, just because it's great to be part of our family. And Bill said, you know, I'll do that. But, you know, maybe you guys should have Internet Explorer be your browser. Steve said, come again? They did it. So Steve had to go out and tell Apple, after 10 years of bare-knuckle bloody brawls with the Apple community, hey guys, we're partnered with Microsoft now. But you know what? He did it. And the rest is history. They had the iPod, the iMac, the iPhone, everything. I guess he was iCEO for a while too, right? Interim CEO. Multi-trillion-dollar company. Because what he realized is partnering doesn't mean that you give up who you are. Partnering means that you give who you are to the rest of the space. They actually, for the first time ever, get to see you for who you are. So I thought a lot about how do I put pieces of technology together where we preserve and protect the stuff up here. And the fact that Cardano has never failed in 5 years. It's always been running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's become effectively the root of trust of the entire cryptocurrency space. There is no engine better. There is no code better than what we've written. But combine that with paradigms from outside of our space, which is why for years we flirted with concepts like the EVM and Yella. It's why we looked at Fabric and Cosmos and Parity. So then I said, well, how do I put all that together in a uniquely Cardano way? And then it dawned upon me. We wrote a paper called Minotaur. And boy, this is special. This is perhaps, I wish we could patent stuff because Jesus, I would. This is probably the best thing we've ever written in the history of our company because this ends the fight forever about interoperability. You have the Bitcoin people, they say, proof of work. And we all say, proof of stake, proof of work, proof of stake. What if you put them together? And what if you could put N consensus algorithms together? You could put them all together. What if you could run multiple consensus protocols all together in the same system? How about that? Wouldn't that be magical? There's no debate anymore. And what if we could combine that concept with all this other magic that we've been studying for years and put it together with the best blockchain building framework that's on the market right now, Parity. Put those pieces together and put Minotaur on top. Now you're cooking with oil. It's good. We got something special. So we wrote this paper in 2021. It was a collaboration of University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign and Pramod and University of Washington. Pramod went to Princeton. We had some amazing people like Matthias on this and Agalos. And we've now been exploring on basically an RD, how to get that into this. And you know what? I said it would be really cool to have a flagship product, something very special and very unique to showcase the power of that type of system. So we thought around and we said, all right, well, all this regulation's coming, and all these roll-ups are coming, all this snark technology's coming. People want to put identity into applications. Why don't we take all that 5 years of zero-knowledge research we did that we stole from Cambridge and other places, we put it all in one layer and put Minotaur into it, and we call it Midnight. Y'all been asking about that a lot over Twitter. So, interoperability. Let's talk about it. Oh, they didn't give me an eraser. Well, I guess they did. It's up here. That's cool. You guys all right if I erase this? Yeah, all right. Take your pictures. Oh, that doesn't erase at all. Does it flip? Will it flip? I think it will. Ah, ingenuity. All right. Let's talk about partner chains. First off, let's change some names. We called originally Cardano the Cardano settlement layer. So let's call it now the CASL, because we just keep changing stuff, right? Cardano assets and settlement layer, great. And instead of calling these things control or computation layers, let's call them CSLs, the new CSL. So much better than the old one. Cardano service layers. So basically, interoperability, if you're really clever and you're really smart, what you do is you have a blockchain building framework. So we'll call it the Cardano Partner Chain Framework, the CPS. And what this framework does is it'll have Minotaur built under the hood, and that framework will give you the ability to have multi-resource consensus. So the SPOs here, what they can do is they can provide security to these chains, almost like a layer 2. But like a side chain, you also can have your own consensus algorithms, and like interoperability, suddenly you can borrow security from other systems, real time, like Ethereum, like Bitcoin, like Polkadot, and others as they get added. What does that mean? If you have tokens here, the tokens can pay the stake pool operators here, but suddenly they also can pay the stake pool people here, the miners here, and the miners here. What does that mean? It means that we all have a financial incentive to like each other now. No one else does this. See, the problem with all these frameworks, the way they're written, whether it be Cosmos or Parity, you check in, but you can't check out. You're stuck. You're locked into it. When you have a system like this, and you can change your consensus on the fly, what that means is if you don't like Ethereum anymore, if Vitalik said some weird stuff or something, you can just get rid of it. Yeah. Bitcoin, I'm now an environmentalist. I hate mining. Yeah, there we go. And you just add other shit, right? Maybe you're just Cardano maxi, and you're like, we just love Cardano so much, so we're just going to do that. And, and maybe, just maybe, Cardano really pissed you off. I tweeted something you really don't like. Often do that. Come on, let's be honest. Yeah, you maybe just go to proof of work. You just go down that road or something like that and leave. The ecosystem on the service layer gets the freedom to decide that. They have the freedom of movement because that's what interoperability should be about. Standards and freedom liberate you to do what's best for your projects. They liberate you to think about what's best for these things. Now, if you add this with one other clever innovation, a dual token model, then what you can do is start exploring something really clever and cool. You can treat the token that's on the side chain, the service layer, the partner chain. I promise you we'll unify the language one day. They're partner chains. As your resource. And you can start talking about different monetary policies that give you predictable pricing. So suddenly you don't wake up with a 3x or 5x in your operational cost for that service, whether it be a privacy chain or a decentralized large language model or a nameless decentralized telecommunication company, which may or may not be here. Quiet you. You can have a resource for that. It's great. It's magic. But you also can have, as a Cardano native asset on the main chain, the thing that controls governance, maintenance, consensus, these types of things. So that can follow deflationary policy, for example, like Cardano does, Bitcoin does, or others. So you split the monetary policy. You don't overload your asset, which means you get the best of all worlds. You get liquidity, decentralization, fast bootstrap, just magic. It's incredible. Yet you still have freedom. Why do we do this? Because at the end of the day, if Cardano is to win and become number one, we have to take the brilliance of all of the industry and make it our own. Cardano plus this framework, just like Microsoft plus Apple in the 90s, is basically 100% of the market. There's no more extended UTXO versus EVM. We got it all. That's what we're doing. And that's what real interoperability is. And why will the industry let us do it? Well, because we pay them. That's how business works, right? They make money, we make money. Had Microsoft held on to those Apple shares, they would have made tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars, by the way. Just saying. So this is pretty magic. And it's what we've been working on in the lab and in practice now for years, and we have done so many amazing experiments. But experiments are not reality. So I thought it was super important to have something to show everybody that is launching next week in DevNet. And I want to invite on stage a very good friend of mine. His name is Ram Barak. He is the CEO of the Midnight Project. And he's one of the partner chains building that service. And he's going to come up here and tell you guys a little bit about what makes it so special. And what's really cool is as he builds, we evolve, and we get closer and closer to that interoperability. And that framework is your framework. So many dApps can now move into this domain, especially in the GameFi space, the IoT space, especially in the supply chain space, and all around. So come on up, Barak.
Thank you, Charles. Very excited to be here. I see a lot of friends. I hope you're friends. Midnight is a fourth generation blockchain network. We focus on data protection. What does that mean? Well, we use zero-knowledge technology to protect data and metadata. We have a shielded ledger that allows you to put confidential information on-chain. But we also have an unshielded ledger that allows you to put public information on-chain. That means you can mix both private and public information together, giving you selective disclosure. But protecting data is not enough. You want to also protect metadata. So we got a shielded token, you've probably heard of it, called Dust, that allows you to transact with privacy. But we all know that shielded tokens sometimes have a challenge getting to liquidity. So we actually have a second token, an unshielded token, to provide network liquidity and security. Together, working those in hybrid as well as dual tokenomics, you can get various use cases as well as multiple paths to ensure that you are both compliant with regulatory requirement and have the best of both worlds. But we knew that having a great blockchain is not going to be enough. There's a matter of adoption. So we talked with enterprises about what makes them happy to get deployed and working and building apps on a blockchain. Well, we've added capability to give you SLA. You can guarantee capacity and always know that you have access to the resources. We have the ability to provide price predictability, so you can budget and know how much it's going to cost to run an application on this infrastructure next year. And that means also that you can have a gas station that is not just an ad hoc conversion from fiat to tokens, but can give you a rate card. So you can actually use this blockchain like a cloud service, paying with fiat and accessing it like a regular cloud service that you're familiar with. This means that everybody can now access this kind of technology. You have a cloud service powered by a fourth generation blockchain network. Now, I started my career as a developer, and I know how hard is it to learn a new domain-specific language, and there's no shortage of them out there. Midnight wanted to make developers happy as well, so our smart contract language is based on TypeScript. And for the hard stuff, the zero-knowledge circuits, we've got Lego building blocks. And we've got the tooling, like faucets and wallets and Visual Studio plugins and everything else that you need. So data protection, customer-friendly, developer-friendly. Charles just talked about his vision for partnership. Midnight is looking to be a partner chain to Cardano. A partner is, both sides get something. It has to be a win-win. So we would like to leverage the ecosystem of Cardano to help us go to market and get to decentralized fast. In exchange, we will provide SPOs and exchanges with both new revenue sources as well as incentives. We will provide developers with use cases and a fund to help them create more interoperability between the networks. And as was shared last year, I believe everybody here is an ADA holder. ADA holders will get a token drop for midnight, so everybody can get access to this utility. Now, about a month ago, we opened up our registration for DevNet, and I couldn't be happier to see over 1,000 engineering teams that actually signed up for the Midnight DevNet. There's a little sign of a clock there. The countdown is starting because in 10 days, November 13th, mark the date, we're going to start onboarding teams onto our DevNet. And I know that some of you are going to be maybe disappointed because you couldn't get in on the first day, but trust me, we're adding more and more resources so we can have everybody, both on DevNet, testnet, and hopefully also on the mainnet. I want to thank Charles and everybody here. A friend of mine once said, "Wonders I can do, miracles take time." It's been 5 years in development for Midnight. The team, Midnight team, you guys rock. Cardano family, thank you for having us. We look to partnering with you, and if you see me in the next 2 days, please come say hi. Would love to hear from you and make this a win-win for all of us. Thank you.
Pretty amazing. 5 years come together to this moment, and it's just the beginning if you think about it, because that's just one of soon to be dozens, soon to be hundreds, hopefully thousands of partner chains in the service layer, all with freedom and all doing interesting, really cool things. Midnight's near and dear to my heart because it preserves and protects our freedoms, and at the same time, it gives us the ability to merge two worlds that are right now radically incompatible with each other. The traditional finance world says, oh, regulation is easy for crypto. Just centralize everything, and we're good. We're like, well, I don't think you know what that D means and everything. And the cryptocurrency space says, oh, well, trillions of dollars should just flow around. Who cares? There has to be some sort of synthesis, like Hegel would say with a Hegelian synthesis. And this is the point. It's the most Hegelian of all products that we have. It's both public and private, UTXO and account. It's fourth generation, meaning that it has multiple consensus protocols, not just one. It leverages the fact that its backbone of security is the most reliable blockchain ever built forever. But at the same time, it can add additional capabilities to accelerate things like roll-ups. As brand new crypto that's invented and uses old crypto as well. It's a pretty magical thing to think about how 5 years can be summed up and put together under such a great leadership team and such a great group of developers. And the fact that it's so accessible and already 1,000 have signed up just in the first cohort and things are moving quickly, it tells you that our future is very bright. So the third generation, interoperability, governance, and scalability, we got it done. And the fourth generation is about taking over all the services of the world and making sure that they stay forever as decentralized and can't fail. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Hope Charles's keynote speech was insightful to you. So this concludes our community call for today. But don't worry, we plan to have constant community calls moving forward. So we will keep you guys posted on that. But like Resham said, if you guys have any questions or want to collaborate, do reach out to us on LinkedIn or on our Twitter, now X, and hope to see you guys soon. Have a good night.